The Gilded Age was a time of refinement and social sophistication, and Christmas, during this period, reflected the optimism and grandeur of the age. Big things were definitely happening in industry and trade. And while the Christmas season did look like the set of Downton Abbey, or the Gilded Age for some, we can't forget that ordinary people celebrated as well. So I wanted to showcase how different levels of society decorated and dressed for the season, what they ate, and what types of gifts were exchanged, both in Britain and in America. From the royal family's regal celebrations to the festive cheer in country houses and the warmth of ordinary homes. The season was celebrated with a mix of tradition and modernity. It may have looked different, and the cost may have varied wildly, but the 3 big days of the season, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and Boxing Day, were cozy and happy for everyone lucky enough to have a family and a home to celebrate in. When it came to Christmas, the British royal family certainly knew how to do it right. They spent the holidays at Sandringham, their beautiful estate in Norfolk, mixing grandeur with family time. It was the perfect blend of regal tradition and intimate festivity. Even well into the 21st century, we've seen countless pictures of Queen Elizabeth in her country attire, roaming the hills with her dogs. And if you're a fan of The Crown, you'll know this aesthetic well. But she wasn't the first royal to make Sandringham the landing pad for the sovereign at Christmas. Here's what it looked like in the Gilded Era. Or, as the Brits would think of it, the Edwardian Era. Queen Alexandra, wife of King Edward VII, loved to make the holidays sparkle. Every detail, from the lavish decorations to the gourmet menus, was meticulously planned. The family's Christmas celebrations stretched over several days, with shooting parties, gift exchanges, and charitable events all part of the fun. Christmas Eve was all about gifts, laid out on elaborately decorated tables. Luxury was the name of the game. Jewelry, bespoke books, and fine clothing were common among the royal presents. Even the staff weren't forgotten, receiving thoughtful tokens like gloves or monetary bonuses. Some of them are still on display at the Victoria and Albert Museum. Christmas Day began with a church service in Sandringham's private chapel. Later came the grand luncheon, featuring dishes like roast turkey, venison, and flaming plum pudding. Everyone dressed to impress, with Queen Alexandra often donning jewel-encrusted gowns. The Victoria and Albert Museum's collection also features some of these exquisite fashions. If you're ever in London, the V&A is a must-visit site. Boxing Day was all about the great outdoors. The royals hosted hunts and shooting parties on their expansive estate, followed by hearty meals and more time spent with their staff and local villagers. For my American viewers, Boxing Day is the 26th of December. These days, it's a day to spend time with family and wind down after the Christmas celebrations. For Britain's aristocracy, Christmas wasn't just a day. It was an entire season of opulence. From mid-December to Twelfth Night, country houses turned into festive wonderlands filled with parties, feasts, and good cheer. Imagine garlands of holly and ivy, mistletoe dangling in doorways, and grand Christmas trees glowing in the halls. Teams of servants worked tirelessly to make everything just perfect. Gift-giving was an extravagant affair. Ladies might receive elegant jewelry or perfume, while gentlemen opened fine cigars or leather goods. Children were thrilled with elaborate dolls' houses or clockwork toys. And someone like our very own Alberta Sturgis likely embraced these lavish traditions while wearing beaded gowns and glittering jewels. The highlight of the season, Christmas Day, began with church services, followed by a lavish feast. Oysters, roast goose, and flaming plum pudding graced the table, with champagne flowing freely. The day often ended with parlor games, carol singing, or even ballroom dancing. Outdoor activities like fox hunting were the main event, with guests donning their finest riding habits. The day ended with hearty suppers of game pies and mulled wine. While simpler than the royals or aristocrats, Christmas for working and middle-class families was no less meaning. These homes brimmed with love, tradition, and creativity. But ordinary families back then weren't like ordinary families today. There wasn't much grand or expense as far as gifts or feasts. Things were simple, and families could probably only afford just one or two luxuries, like special meats or extra butter. For them, though, this was more than enough to create a meaningful and exciting day. Paper chains and homemade ornaments added charm to their modest Christmas trees. Stockings, filled with oranges and small toys, brought joy to children on Christmas morning. Practical gifts like knitted scarves or hand-carved toys were the norm. Families often focused on meaningful rather than extravagant presents, a tradition still cherished today. The day started with church services, followed by family meals. Middle-class families might enjoy roast chicken or goose, while working-class households shared simpler dishes like roast beef or pork. Desserts included fruitcake and plum pudding, delicious staples of the era. Evenings were for storytelling, singing carols, and playing games around the fire. These quieter moments were all about gratitude and togetherness. And I don't know about you, but that actually sounds really nice to me. Across the Atlantic, Americans put their own spin on Christmas. Cities sparkled with department store displays, while rural families cherished heartfelt traditions. Big stores like Macy's transformed shopping into a festive experience, with dazzling window displays drawing crowds. Gift-giving was inspired by British customs, but adapted to American sensibilities. Popcorn garlands, candles, and imported German ornaments made Christmas trees shine in American homes. This tradition, rooted in Prince Albert's influence, became a staple of holiday decor. In smaller communities, church services and home-cooked feasts brought people together. Homemade gifts and decorations made the celebrations personal and special. Thanks to Clement Clark Moore's poem and illustrations by Thomas Nast, Santa Claus became America's favorite Christmas figure. And of course, he originally wore a green suit. It wasn't until Coca-Cola put Father Christmas into a red suit for their marketing that he became what we know today.